Today we have something very interesting to test out, the GigaDude 25. Oh wait, we already made that episode, but we are going to continue testing the GigaDude 25 because if you could hear, it's a little windy today. That's a perfect time to put on that coiled dipole, the JPC-7, and try to use guy wire support on this thing to see how well it holds up. And if it doesn't, what do we need to do to correct it? So let's jump into things by getting this guided up. And this is a DX Engineering guy wire support that I showed in the last episode that's going to be on the bottom rung or the bottom section of the carbon fiber mast. I think it's going to be about 3.5 feet off the ground, 4 feet off the ground. This is cool. We'll see how this 3D printed piece holds up. I printed it in PETG, 60% infill. I think it's going to do okay. I hope it's going to do okay. So let's jump into things. I do have a lot of 550 cord at home from old projects, right? So I took some of that 550 cord, and the first thing I did is I went ahead and I measured each of these lengths of 550 cord out to be about the same. And what I'm gonna do briefly here is I'm gonna try something new today. Actually, in this bag here, I hope. Briefly, I'd like to show you what I'm doing with these little tensioners. So you see 3 holes in them. I got these from thingiverse.com, and I will go ahead and link you below to them. But essentially, much like strain relief, I'm taking my 550 cord and I'm going basically through each hole, over, under, over, under. When I get to this 3rd hole right here, I'm gonna go through it. I wish I had a lighter, I would burn the end of this. But as I go through this, now I have this hole, or I have a loop. So what I'm gonna do is I wanna tie 2 knots up here. I'm not the best with knots, but just anything that's not gonna come undone. And then what we're gonna realize is, yeah, as we tension or tighten our rope, it's not gonna go through because of those 2 knots. It's not gonna go through the tensioner, but then we have a loop here. And with that loop, we could tighten or loosen things. Tighten or loosen them. I'm gonna go put those on right now and we'll get the rest of this up. I do take a lot of pride in the things that I do, even if I didn't create them, right? I'm showing this off. I really do like these tensioners, especially because you're just free, you know? But anyway, I did 25% infill in PETG. They should hold up pretty well. And the theory is, which I can't do at the moment because I don't have an extra hand available, but the theory is if it's too loose, you just pull on this to tighten it up more, which I'm doing right now, okay? And then if you want to loosen it, you would just pull it this way toward the mast, okay? So I did that on all of these, and then I made sure that the mast is relatively straight by doing a full walk around on it. And to me, I think it looks pretty good. Might be a little bit crooked, I'll fix that if it is. And I just want to make a note, any power lines you might see here, there's absolutely no way I'm ever going to come close to them. They're probably about 100 poles away, so we're okay in that sense. Real quick too, well, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get about 3 550 cord lengths of 27 feet, okay? And I'm going to place them onto here, 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 and here, okay? At that point, I'm going to hoist this up without any antennas on here to figure out where I want to be. After I get everything in the ground, I'm then going to bring this down. This is all a test, by the way. I'm going to bring the whole thing down. The guy support wire should still be in the ground. Then I can place the antenna on there and then place the guy support back in the air. In this situation, I'm going to place those tensioners on the bottom toward the ground, so that if they need to be adjusted, I can adjust them without having to lower the mast every time. One of the things I want to show off here, again, hopefully it's not too windy. When I have this 25 feet in the air and I have a right angle, that being the ground, that's a 90-degree angle. And typically what is going to happen at 25 feet, maybe 25-degree angle is where we're going to want this guy wire support to go. So if you do the calculations online, and I said online because I can't do them in my head, but I'll pretend I can, 11.6 feet out is going to give us a 25-degree angle at 25 feet. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to, at the end of this 550 cord, that's where I'm going to put in my 10 spike here real quick and get it in the ground. Also today, instead of using a standard size tent spike, which might be about this long, I did get a little bit longer ones from the store Meyer. They were pretty expensive, but I'm thinking that extra length might be good, especially for higher up, just so it doesn't pull out as easy. The ground is relatively hard as well, so I'm not too concerned about it. My theory is correct. We now have our guy supports on the bottom. This has obviously been fine because it's not fully expanded. Trying to watch my words there. I do have these out as well, and they're going to roughly 11.6 feet. Scientifically, I didn't measure, but actually let me show you something real quick here. Typically, I would take the guy plate that I've designed and I would put it on this mast section right here. It's the top section just in there. But instead of unscrewing all the mast sections, I decided to put it for testing purposes in between the dude topper and the actual clamp. I think it'll work fine, but let's get this in the air and find out. Again, no antennas. We're going to even see if this works before potentially damaging our antennas. Okay, so the first thing I'm noticing is this end here is a lot tighter and the other ends are not as tight. I'm gonna take some tension off of this. Ooh, I can't take tension off of this one. Hold on, I have an idea. 1.5 foot left of extra space. So I'm just going to move the knot on this one a little bit further toward the end. Let's try that again. Yep. Yeah. Now, that is awesome. The one on the left over here needs to be tightened a little bit. In order to tighten it, all I'm gonna do again is, I think you could see where that tent spike's in the ground, and I'm just gonna pull. So, you know, the nice thing is too, I know I'm pulling a little bit off of camera here, but the nice thing too is it doesn't matter what rung I'm on, I could always tighten or tension this up in order for me to have two support methods. It's still a little bent toward one way, and I'm gonna work on that and adjust it here. In order to test today, to see how stable this will be, I'm using kind of a hybrid antenna, if you will. It's a JPC-1-2, it's actually two of them, in a dipole configuration, which would typically be a JPC-7, except I'm using my own top conductor, or center conductor rather, center insulator, we'll call that. I'm using the dude topper. That will add nothing different as far as the performance goes, but we should then have a lot of weight up there to see if this starts to sway at all. Now the winds, as I mentioned, I was gonna talk about that. I'm being told that it's 12-mile-an-hour gusts, although I'm seeing the flag kind of waving what would appear to be a little heavier than that. We'll call it 12 miles an hour because that's what the weather radar says. Also, I recognize that my angle is probably, or looks slightly off on the right-hand side, but I think it's an illusion from where I have the camera. I'm gonna go get this set up. I'll be right back. I mean, I guess I could leave it on. The nice thing about this is that I could just take this down without having to take anything out. And we're really gonna see, oh yeah, there you go. I think we're gonna be all right. Better call dude. Should have called dude. Dude's correct. I'm just speaking nonsense right now. And the first things to actually go in aren't gonna be the coils. And that's what's pretty unique about this system, this JPC-7. The first thing to go on the JP-7 are actually these little extension pieces. I've been toying around the idea of getting all my toppers mass produced with injection molding. And what would that do? Well, depending on how many sales I could make, that would significantly reduce the cost. We're gonna put the coils on now. And when I say it would significantly reduce the cost, I mean, after you get the mold made, I can get the parts made, the toppers made for a couple of bucks a piece. As opposed to now, those toppers are costing me about $35 each one being made, because I need that tensile strength, that really hardcore durability, if you will. We'll see what happens. I have a couple of guys who are testing some other masts and trying to see if that'll fit on their masts. Next up, all we gotta do is put these antennas on, extend them fully out, and the nice thing about the JPC-7 is it has little markings in it for where we gotta put 20. Coax might be another story now that I think about it. But hey, we're just actually testing the mast out and seeing how it's gonna sway. In the very near future also, I will have a J-pole to test out on here. Now, one of the things I do notice is that something looks crooked here, and I can't help but question, there we go, we're gonna seat that all the way down in there and then tighten the clamp up a little bit. I don't know how that looks now, but I would assume a little bit more, oh yeah. Before it was kind of like this. My topper wasn't completely in. Now I think it's okay. So with that, let's go ahead and get these antennas extended out. And you'll notice it's moving around. That's because this bottom one right here, not bottom, but this clamp is not clamped in. Again, I'm just gonna go ahead and I'm gonna clamp it into place. And there's actually a couple of clamps that aren't into place here because I still have to extend it up. But it is nice to have them clamped in when I'm extending this out. Hopefully I have enough coax. I have about 50 feet of RG8X, 25 down, 25 over. Yeah, I think we'll be all right. I'm super impressed. Now, first of all, I couldn't rotate it like I thought. Typically what I do is I have a rollover mast. I don't use guy support, bad practices, and the wind is definitely picking up. But with all that, what I'm trying to tell you is I could rotate the mast itself without a problem because it's in this rollover mast and I just turn it. It really is doing a good job of not moving around too aggressively. However, one thing I noticed is there is a little bit of a bend still up there. And what it is I need to bring this guy wire support that's right here, and I should probably move it to the left a little bit because that wasn't an optical illusion like I originally thought. I would highly recommend this from DX Engineering. I think it's awesome. I could take that off with the bolts and nuts, don't need to remove anything on the mast. I think that's really cool. One of these for the top sections of your mast or any other mast on the market would be great. The way this one works now, I think it could fit a mast no smaller than like 25 millimeters or something. I don't have the spec sheet in front of me. However, if you could do that up there, you got a product, man. I'm telling you guys, good. I like this a lot. I'll leave a link below. Of course, after being out here for a while, I'm going to then have to take this down and check to see if that piece that I've designed has broken or has deformed at all, because it is PETG. Now, if the concept of the design is good, but PETG isn't, that's when maybe we go to ABS. And I don't like to print with ABS because it actually gets toxic fumes, and I don't have a chamber or anything to dissipate those fumes. However, if that is the case where this is a good design and things seem to be working okay, that's when I'll take this to the next step and I'll put this into production as well. And I might even buy a CNC, a small CNC with HDPE capabilities so that I could just basically make a bunch of these. And HDPE would be something like DX Commander uses on his spacers, I believe. I'm not completely positive of that yet. I guess my point is, if the theory works, if the prototype works and needs a little bit of adjustment, we could do that. Let's bring this antenna down. It's been up for about 30 minutes. The winds have picked up a couple of times. We've had a couple good gusts. As I see it now, the flag is doing pretty good as far as it's not flat, but it's not completely straight out. I don't know what I'm trying to say here. Let's just bring this down here. And boy, I did like this guying system. DX Engineering, I like your bottom guy. I would buy one for the top. DX Engineering, I'll be honest with you, I would just design one in CAD and print it up myself, but I really do like this and I'm trying to support you. I just took this off of the top of the mast, taking a look at it, inspecting it fairly well here. There's no indications that there was any kind of stress, strain, or anything along those lines. The print was a little bit rough. And I would highly recommend that if you're going to use this, which I'll also post a Thingiverse link, no big deal there. But if you're going to use this, I would highly recommend checking it occasionally, as this is still kind of one of those in production prototype kind of deals. And I don't know, in the Texas heat or the Arizona sun or the Montana cold, how well this will hold up. Yes, PETG doesn't warp as easily as PLA or PLA plus. However, there is still a melting point of anything, which also means there's a warping point of anything. And I would say that PETG is probably somewhere around 85 degrees Celsius. What is that in freedom units? And with that, I'm going to loosen each of these up. Again, all I have to do is take these tensioners and loosen them. And when I loosen them, I can take off each of these paracords now. And then I'm good to go and ready to go with my dude mast into the truck. So setup took me a long time. I've been out here for a while. However, it's a lot of recording, a lot of drinking water, a lot of takes that you'll never see out here. And I'm just gonna go pick up my 550 cord and make sure that there's no mess left behind. But that was my guying solution for the dude mast, or really any mast in general. I'm just out here having a good time. There may be some things in here that were inaccurate. I tend to just show you the things that I'm doing. And so what I do ask of you is if you see a better way to do things or you have a better idea, be respectful in the comments and let me know. Anyway, I had a good time making this video. Hopefully you learned something. I mean, there's the tensioners for 550 cord. There's the, well, guy support if you want it. And it really does do a good job of helping keep those antennas up in the air without swaying around too top heavily. So I like this. This would be a solution for me if I wasn't doing a quick activation on parks on the air. Maybe I'm gonna leave my antenna up for a couple of days, like a field day event. I think that this would work really well, especially if I was using this dipole. And also I would just, again, reiterate, DX Engineering, you got a really good thing going here. I can't find anything else like this on the market, okay, this guy wire support. If you made one for, you make a mast, DX Engineering, I know you do. You make a few of them, I'm sure. And if you made some guy support for the top sections of your mast like this, and maybe you do and I just couldn't find them, that would be a game changer. That would be excellent. But hey, if you decide to do those top sections and they're not out there yet, can you call them the dude guys? Something with dude in it. Come on. Be cool, DX Engineering. Anyway, I'm Ham Radio Dude, or this is Ham Radio Dude. I don't even know anymore. I hope you have a good one. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Hope you learned something. Until next time, take care.